Kia ora koutou, ko Angela Clifford toku ingoa. I'm coming to you from the beautiful North Canterbury region of Aotearoa today. I have a small farm here called the Food Farm. We're planting a food forest, which seemed like the best excuse you could get for not being at a degrowth conference. So I have 5 minutes to encourage the degrowth movement to step into the food system space, which is not nearly enough, so I'm just going to do my best. As you can see, hopefully, from the what I have up on the screen at the moment in terms of a slide, food systems are complex. But at their core is a powerful lever, which is that we have to interact with food 3 times a day if we're lucky. The decisions we're allowed to make determine the impact we have on our own health, the health of our communities, and the health of our planet. The model you can see in front of you, the Fix Our Food System, was designed by Hilary Pearson from Freedom Farms, and you just heard from Helen Beattie beforehand, who was involved in this campaign as well, for a based framework for a national food strategy for Aotearoa. So you can see the number of pieces that sit in the food system, and you probably had thought of 1 or 2 of them, but chances are you hadn't considered all of them. So it's an opportunity to show you the complexity and the vastness and the opportunity that comes from thinking from a food systems perspective. The piece I'm particularly interested in is how we celebrate our food and express our food culture, because for me, these are the most powerful moments to imagine abundance through deliciousness, and it's the place to change our narrative. When we frame everything through abundance instead of scarcity, it's a joyful space where we have the opportunity to bring everybody along with us. And this is really at the heart of the Eat New Zealand movement. It is easy to get stuck in the problems, though, which are many and varied. But in my short time, I wanted the opportunity to present a solution for consideration. So I'm just going to, hopefully that has changed my slide. Perhaps the biggest issue for us as New Zealanders is the lack of access to good food. I've been involved in food activations after both the Christchurch and Kaikoura earthquakes, and I can tell you it's real. And listening earlier about what happened after Hawke's Bay, it was really interesting to see that, to hear from that community and to understand what it is in the short term. And there's so many similarities, and it will happen again, and communities will go back to normal or not go back to normal. So how can we imagine something different before we're put into that situation? What if we had a mana-centred local food system? So we export close to 95% of what we produce, and what remains is funneled through supermarket duopolies, contributing to the lack of access to local food. I've done a lot of work considering local food systems, and more often than not, they focus on vegetables and fruit. And I heard that again in the lead up to this conversation as well. Community gardens, marakai, fruit trees, and the issue with that is that they only make up a small part of our plate. And the biggest hurdles actually lie with the food that is highly regulated and requires processing. And this involves grains, meat, fish, and milk. We recently finished a piece of research through our Land and Water National Science Challenge that looked at food system innovators in this space. And they include on-farm mills, mobile or micro abattoirs, community fishing hubs, on-farm pasteurisation, and also considering peri-urban and urban farms as well. By supporting access to local food systems, we address food security, but we also reimagine an infrastructure of the middle and last mile distribution. In order to make this work, we need some igniters, and they come from the demand or the eater side. They include local procurement systems, which include food in schools, food dollars with local incentive programs. So that looks like having an ability to have money each week that's spent on food that's worth more in a local food system, and things like green prescriptions as well. all of these systems and part of this mana-centred local food system exists somewhere in the world. There is no fanciful imagination in any of this model, but nowhere in the world has it been pulled together. And so I just wanted to present it to you, offer it to you as a conversation starter about the relationship between a mana-centred local food system and the degrowth movement in Aotearoa. And that's my time. Kia ora.